Israel-Hamas War News Live Updates. Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza's biggest hospital, the Al-Shifa, on Friday, killing one person and wounding others sheltering there, Palestinian officials said, adding that it was one of several hospitals that were struck as Israeli troops battled Hamas in the heart of the enclave. Officials said other strikes had damaged parts of the Indonesian hospital and reportedly set fire to the Rantisai Pediatric and Cancer Hospital in the northern part of Gaza, where Israel says Hamas militants who attacked it last month are concentrated. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that far too many Palestinians have died and suffered as Israel wages a relentless war. He urged Israel to minimize harm to civilians and maximize humanitarian assistance that reaches them. What is the death toll? The health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza says the Palestinian death toll in the war has gone up to 11,078 since hostilities began on October 7 when Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel. More than 1,400 people have been killed in Israel, primarily in the initial Hamas attack, and 41 Israeli soldiers have been killed in Gaza since the ground offensive began. Palestinian officials say Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza hospitals. Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza's biggest hospital, the Al-Shifa, on Friday, killing one person and wounding others sheltering there, Palestinian officials said, adding that it was one of several hospitals that were struck as Israeli troops battled Hamas in the heart of the enclave. Officials said other strikes had damaged parts of the Indonesian hospital and reportedly set fire to the Rantisai Pediatric and Cancer Hospital in the northern part of Gaza, where Israel says Hamas militants who attacked it last month are concentrated. Israeli tanks, which have been advancing through northern Gaza for almost 2 weeks, have taken up positions around the Rantisai, Al-Quds and Nasser Children's Hospitals, raising concern for patients, doctors and evacuees there, medical staff said. Blinken says, far too many Palestinians have died as Israel wages relentless war. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Friday that far too many Palestinians have died and suffered as Israel wages a relentless war against the militant Hamas group in the Gaza Strip. He urged Israel to minimize harm to civilians and maximize humanitarian assistance that reaches them. Speaking to reporters in New Delhi, Blinken said recent Israeli moves to improve dire conditions in Gaza as its military pushes deeper into the Strip, including pauses in military operations to allow Palestinians to move from northern to southern Gaza and the creation of a second safe corridor, are positive but they are not nearly enough. Qatar's emir holds talks in Egypt on ending Gaza violence. The leaders of Qatar and Egypt met in Cairo on Friday, both hoping to mediate a de-escalation of violence in the Gaza Strip, the provision of humanitarian aid and the release of Israeli hostages. The talks between Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad al-Thani discussed intensified efforts to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and the delivery of sufficient quantities of aid for its 2.3 million besieged residents, a statement from Sisi's office said. Qatar said joint efforts to stop the aggression against Gaza, reduce escalation and bring in urgent humanitarian aid were discussed. The Qatari emir's visit comes a day after Qatar's prime minister met the chiefs of the U.S.'s Central Intelligence Agency and Israeli spy agency Mossad in Doha to discuss the parameters of a deal for a hostage release and a pause in fighting between Israel and Hamas. Netanyahu determined to place fear on Palestinians. As we reported earlier, Palestinians leaving northern Gaza were targeted on Salah al-Din Street, the main road heading south. Sultan Barakat, from the Global Institute for Strategic Research, says that while no explanation has been given for the attack, there could have been a communication failure. But, this is an excuse used quite often by Israeli officials. It could be an incident, or a mistake, or some people did not get the command in time, or it's just part of the greater cynical approach that Netanyahu is taking, Barakat told Al Jazeera. He's still very much determined on placing the highest level of fear amongst the Palestinians so that they mobilize and move out as fast as possible. Barakat noted, however, that the attack was a lot of embarrassment to U.S. President Joe Biden, who earlier had welcomed the humanitarian pauses. I won't be surprised if the story now goes around and these Palestinians happen to just be outside the 4-hour window, or inside the 4-hour window, or have stepped on the wrong side of the road, to blame the victim throughout, Burkhardt added. Netanyahu reiterates Gaza will remain under Israeli security control. During a meeting with the heads of Gaza border authorities, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu reiterated that after the war, the besieged enclave would remain under Israeli security control. He added that there would be a full demilitarization of the Gaza Strip to ensure that there is no threat to Israeli citizens. In an interview with ABC News on Monday, Netanyahu said that Israel would be responsible for security for an indefinite period in Gaza. However, on Wednesday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Palestinians should govern Gaza once Israel ends its war against Hamas, pushing back against Netanyahu. Israeli snipers target Al-Quds Hospital, kill one, Red Crescent. We've just received a statement by the Palestine Red Crescent Society saying at least one person has been killed and 20 wounded in shooting by Israeli snipers targeting Al-Quds Hospital. 2 of the wounded were in critical condition, it added. Fierce clashes now and occupation snipers shooting at Al-Quds Hospital. Casualties among the displaced Palestinians sheltering at the facility, the medical organization said. Health Ministry, 21 hospitals out of service in Gaza. The number of hospitals that have gone out of service since the beginning of Israel's offensive in Gaza has reached 21. This is according to a new update from Palestinian Health Ministry spokesman Ashraf al-Qudra. The previous number given by the ministry was 18 hospitals. Keep watching us for more videos. Subscribe and follow us. Click the like button and let me know your views in the comments section. Thank you and have a nice day.